Hey, it's NM Blend with a Blender tutorial on how I render my videos. From the start of when I've been posting my simulations on YouTube, I've been asked so many times, render your uh, how do you render your simulations so dramatically? Um, I've never really been able to explain in a reply comment, and I've been asked so many times that I just decided to make a video on it. Alright, so what you need is you need an updated version of Blender. You need it to have the cycles renderer in this menu. And you need anything you want to render. So so what I'll teach you how to make in this video is it's not going to be an overview of cycles. It's going to be specifically focused on how I render my simulations. So you'll go from something that looks like this to something that looks like that, and it's more dramatic, and I think it really looks nice. So, all right, without further ado, let's get started. So I don't use the Blender renderer because if you press render on that, you get one sec. There we go. You get this is with the Blender render. It's not accurate. I mean, it is accurate. It's really not a great render. The cycles render by the Blender organization is much better. Alright, so first step is change to cycles render, because that's what we're going to be rendering with. You want to, if you have a GPU, if you have a graphics card that's NVIDIA or some other manufacturer, I don't know if some graphics cards support this graphics acceleration when rendering, but others, like some other companies other than NVIDIA, aren't supported. I think I'm not sure which ones, but you'll have to check with NVIDIA graphics card. If you have one of those, which is what I have, if you have a GeForce, that'll always work. You need a graphics card with CUDA, and you can find to see if it has CUDA on the manufacturer's website or NVIDIA website, if it supports CUDA, because that's the parallel processing interface that they use to communicate with CPU and all the rest, everything else that you need to use while rendering. Otherwise, if you have you can use just the CPU mode, but if you have a graphics card that will be faster, than the CPU because of the different architectures that a graphics card is. So next thing you want to do is, once you have that selected, you should go over here and select your material. I usually leave it white, which is what it is right now. So if you click add new, you have to go to, sometimes you can hit color. I always leave it white. So there's that. And then you want to go over here and make to render yours in full HD, which is always what I render mine in. X is 1920 by 1080. Oops, 1080. So you have that. You want to go down here, select your output file. Just have it in a place where you know where that is. Here. Okay. So samples. That will be how many times it renders your image on top of itself, I guess. It's hard to explain, but I'll show you an example. So if you go down here and click rendered, which is what I just did, give it a sec. Okay. You have this. Let's turn this light up a little bit because it's way too dark. I'm going to make it, to change the brightness of the lamp, click on the add nodes thing. Go to strength. I'm going to type in 50,000. Alright, so that should work. So you have this live render. So it just as a quick preview, which is, I think it was a really good idea, and that's very helpful. So I'll show you. So if we only do one pass, there's a lot of grain, and it really doesn't look that good. One thing to note is that it's logarithmic. So notice that increasing it to 2 only increased the resolution of the render a little bit, and then 3 was even less than the jump from 1 to 2. So if we go to like 200, it'll be you'll get a much nicer result. So I'm gonna just change this right back to 10. The way you, I usually use 80 or 60 for rendering. The way you know how many passes or how many samples to use is how much light you think is going to be bouncing off your building, how much light is going to be bouncing inside of it, how much light is going to be bouncing off and landing back on the plane, because that all increases the rendering time and creates these little grains, right? Creates these little grains that you don't want. Alright, so there's that. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit the render. We're going to give that, sorry, I meant 80. Alright, and the difference between the preview and the render is preview is just in this live rendering window, and render is in the actual like rendering window. Alright, so we have those. Integrator presets. Notice that if we go direct light, there's not going to be any bouncing at all of the light off of the building or anything else. Full global illumination is that adds some. Actually, we're not going to talk about that one right now. You just have to worry about these two. And then actually here, full global illumination is what we actually want. That'll allow that will allow things to bounce off and light to bounce off of different places. And you have these light paths down here. Diffuse, glossy, and transmission is each kind of texture, and then the number beside it is how many times the light is allowed to bounce off or refract for that texture. And then I think that's all we need to do right there. Okay, so we are going to move on to this. So the default setting is somewhere around here. Color. So you'll notice that it's very washed out. That's because this is like global illumination. So it lights up. So it acts as a big sun skylight for your scene. So you usually want to set that back to black so you have no interference between your light and that. So, okay, we did that. Alright. You have the default scene comes with this little light over here. It's the spot. You want that to be an area, so click on area. So let's go to our camera view. Alright, that looks nothing like that. So the way we're gonna get that to be better is let's decrease the intensity 20,000. Okay, we're going to aim this out at the, we're going to aim this out at the building. And you see our camera is right here. So if we select our camera and move it a little bit closer, I'm just going to adjust the focal length so we can get, so we can get the whole thing in the picture. You don't want your light to get your scene to look like this. You don't want your light directly above your building, or else it'll kind of be more washed out and just direct. And you don't want more than one light because you want your light to come from a single source. So you want your light kind of in front of your camera or directly off to the side. So right now I have it directly off to the side. So you have this. You want it off to the side or directly in front of our camera. Our camera is right there. Right now it's directly in front. It just depends on its personal preference. All of this is personal preference. I'm just teaching you how I do it. So we do that. So we can aim that out at the, and if you do it directly in front of the building, then it kind of looks like that. You see this line of light where it cuts off. You want that to be parallel with the, or I usually want that to be parallel with the bottom of the camera, and raise this light up a little bit. You want the shadow to be extended. I don't usually like the look of it being at a direct 45-degree angle. So you have that. Now we can increase this back to 50,000. Oh, and what I said before about this is if it's visible, if the cutoff thing right here, if the place where it goes from light to dark, which is right here, if that line is anywhere near the bottom of the camera, then you want to try and make it parallel. Otherwise, it doesn't really matter. So you have this. I'm gonna do that. Alright, now that looks a lot better. If you want, and when you want to render your animation, click 0 and hit animation, and if we render the image right now, it'll take a little bit. It's a little bit distorted right now because of my focal length, but yep, this is how you end up with the dramatic looking picture like that. I hope that helped a lot of people. Thanks for watching, thanks for commenting, and subscribe if you like this video, and I will come out with more. Thank you.